Let me show you why what I think about this whole situation. First of all, I'm going to tell you an article from the 27th of October, I believe it was this year. I'm not going to mention the country they name. I'm just going to read the first two paragraphs. The controversial country ban against promoting so-called gay propaganda looks set to be extended to all adults. The move represents a toughening of an existing 2013 law, which makes providing information about being LGBT to children a criminal offence. What's the year I said?
2013.
Where was the World Cup held in 2018?
Was England?
Russia,
sorry. Yeah, shit, come on.
What country am I speaking about in this article?
What, Russia? Yeah.
So let's take a look at what that's got to do with this situation here. Okay.
I see where you're going.
If that's a problem, why are we not bringing it up in 2018?
Right.
I don't get it.
I hear that.
This is what I would say to the LGBT community, and I would say it to everyone part of the BLM community. My people, do you know what we are? We're a charity case. We're a badge. We're a small badge on top of a top whilst we're speaking about various other things. In a football ground during COVID, we're in the corner. And we're brought up at the start and at the end of something. And when we bring it up, everyone goes dead silent and it's a part of a conversation where no one can make a mistake because we got to get this message clear. Aren't you tired of being that? BLM, LGBT, are you not tired of being a charity case? Don't you just want to be indoctrinated into society normally? Aren't you tired of people or the Western world using your struggle as a way for them to gain privilege? Aren't you tired of your struggle being exhausted at times when they need it to profit and benefit whatever agenda they have? Outside of the agenda, they couldn't give a flying monkeys about you. But when it's time to say, we don't like the World Cup in Qatar and we need justification for it, all of a sudden we bring up an issue that existed in 2018 but no one cared about.
Right.
I'm just saying, if that's the people, I'm looking at the people telling me this message. And 4 years ago, they didn't have a problem.
Nobody cared.
Which leads me to believe 4 years today, they don't have a problem.
There's
problem. Something they're prevented from doing. So they give you, this is their enemy, just so people go, nah, we're not fucking with them. So I'm saying right here, right now, I think it's time for the BLM, the LGBT, and any other minority group to stand up and say, we would like to be the voice of our situation. Stop allowing Western societies and Western world agendas to be the voice of our situation, because they're only the voice when it profits and benefits them. But the struggle that the LGBT community goes through, the struggle that black people go through, and any other minority going through a struggle is daily. Not just when the World Cup's on, not just when the Olympics is on. Russia held the Olympics and the World Cup, and it's not an issue.
Right.
It's not an issue. Till the Ukraine situation happens, Russia's now an issue. We're going to put this article up on the 27th of October of this year. But 4 years ago, no issue. Oh yeah, Qatar, we got an issue with you now. Like Chuckie said, fam, dance a yard before you dance abroad. There are plenty of issues happening within this country that need to be resolved. That don't only just affect minority groups, they actually affect everybody. So instead of you pointing out the discrepancies in every other country, point inwards.
Facts. Just to make a point on top of what you were saying, yeah, I think that there's still there's people within the LGBTQ community that will rise up and they'll say certain things, but I do think that sometimes it comes from a place of manipulation. So you're being manipulated in some degree by media to make you feel like you need to stand up for something in a different country, and then they're using you essentially as a struggle. Yeah, and to pit people against them so that they can essentially fulfill whatever agenda that they need to fill. I just think it's so mad and weird. And yeah, you're right. People need to kind of wise up from that a little bit. There's so much situations happening in and amongst this, and I was having a conversation with someone about this before, but I was saying to them yeah, I know that there's all these different communities and stuff like that, but one of the reasons why I feel we need to look inwards is because even within these communities, there are massive problems. Like even within that, like it doesn't stop. You know, speaking, and this was coming from a person who I was talking to that was gay, and he was white actually, but he was saying to me, yo, you know, even within that, like, it's like he feels as though sometimes the privilege aspect of them fight to a point where they're okay, but then don't fight for the black people or brown people that are within that community. You know what? Let's address all of this first. Before we go over there and start looking at these lot and how they're running, let's look within all of this, within all of it. There's so much issues here to go around. And actually, let me ask this question. If it's not in Qatar because of their human rights and all of that type of stuff, where are we putting it then? Because is the only place that you can put it is England because of...
But you know what? People will leave comments on
or
this
in Europe.
Say, no, watch this. People are going to leave comments and they're going to say, oh, what about the many deaths that happened in Qatar from the stadiums? Oh, you don't know what happened in Brazil?
Oh my God.
We don't know what happened in Brazil in 2014 because there's a football stadium in a rainforest right now that's not being used. I'm not saying like they should have it there or they shouldn't have it there, but it's more about what Chuckie said. If you're gonna point out discrepancies and reasons why they shouldn't have it certain places, then that should be universal for everyone.
Right.
And one death is too many. Don't tell me that there's 100,000 deaths here. One death is too many.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not even saying that how they're running their thing out there is right or wrong. I'm just saying, yo, wait, when I look left and right here, yo, it is fucked. Like, and there's big problems here. And there's big problems everywhere. So like,
what are we doing here, bro?
What are we doing, man?
And
do you know what? This is another thing, because I know some people will say, so what do? Don't say nothing then. I'm like, nah, you know what? If someone asks you an opinion, then tell your opinion. Speak when you're spoken to. I'd never tell someone to not speak when they're spoken to. If you feel something or you have an opinion on something and someone asks you, then yeah, like, then do that. But what? Go to a different country and campaign and start wearing like the rainbow flag and that in their country and do that. I just don't. For me, that just doesn't sit right to me. Let me show you. Do it here. Cool. Definitely do it here. But going out there and doing it, I'm like, and then the half-hearted boycotts is what really gets me. But it's because like everyone's screaming and shouting about what players should do and screaming and shouting about like, you know, the acts that people are supposed to make here. Cool. Do you know what? Like, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not even saying that you shouldn't even have your opinion. But I'm just like, okay, cool. I just want to know though. All I need to know is that your opinion and your outrage is reflecting how you are watching the World Cup though. Don't do all of this type of stuff and then be sitting there screaming at the TV and cheering and doing all of that type of stuff. Because let me tell you something. If I'm proper standing on something and I genuinely believe, yo, we got to make a change, I ain't watching it.